guys. I've got a 2-year-old quarter horse here and a 3-year-old thoroughbred here. I've been working with both of them. They have about the same amount of time, between 35 and 40 days. And I just want to go over things that I do with the horse at this stage in their training and their age, and how I set them up to have a good ride and further their training. So we'll get started. Alright, so this is Romy. He's a 2-year-old quarter horse. He's had about 35-40 days of work, and now when I started with him, he had some previous work done. Tony's friend Mike had got him saddled, working, driving, and just doing a lot of groundwork with him. So I spent about a week with him, got on him, and went from there. And so this is where he's at. He's a pretty good natured little guy, been real easy to work with. But just the other day, and this is a problem you might run into, he had gotten some ticks in his ears, so he's not real fond of that ear right now. So I worked with him a couple days where I can get the bridle on him. This is a problem you might run into, and this is how I would address it. Now, because of the work that we've done, I can take a hold of his head pretty easy, and he's real soft. Even though he doesn't want me touching that ear, I can still take his nose, and I can work with him and mess with that ear until he gets soft and stops fighting again. As soon as he puts his head there, I take my hand away, reward him. I'll do that a few times so that when I go to put on the bridle, we don't have a problem. I'm going to stop.
Here's Ike. He's just hanging out. He's behaving himself over here, eating grass, while we're working with this guy over here.
Okay, so this is Romy. He's a 2-year-old quarter horse. Before I got to him, Tony's friend Mike had done a lot of work with him, saddling him, doing some groundwork, driving him to the pasture, just all kinds of stuff that made it a lot easier for me to move on with him. And so I spent about a week with him, just tuning him up on some of the groundwork exercises that I like to do, and then got on him and rode him up, and he's been pretty easy ever since. So anyway, I'm going to saddle him up here and then go out to the pasture and do some more. Alright, so we're going to get started with Romy here, and even though it's really quiet, I could probably step on him right here, ride him off. In fact, I have a couple of times. I still do the same program for between 30 and 60 days. I do the same thing every day. I set him up, go through a couple of things, and as we go, the exercises get shorter and shorter, and I step on them quicker and quicker. But I always want to set him up and get him ready for a good ride. So I'm going to go down to the pasture and we'll get started.
Cut that one up.
Alright, so this is how I start him off pretty much every morning. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the ground. He doesn't need a lot. I'm just looking for him to get soft, and round, but sensitive at the same time. So right now that's about all we do on the ground. I just want to kind of get him thinking a little bit, moving before we saddle, before I ride. Now, he's had a bit of an ear problem all of a sudden, of course. A couple of days ago, he's a little twitchy about his ear. He got some ticks in there, and now he's having a little trouble with that. So what I do is I just kind of work with him a little bit, and since I have enough on him where I can put his head where I want, I'm gonna play with that ear a little bit. When he gets soft and doesn't want to pull his head away from me, I take my hand off, give him a good pat, and do it again. See right there, he just put his head right away as soon as I touched him, because he knew that's what I'm gonna do. And he said, okay. it. I know it bothers me, but I'm gonna give it to you anyway. Oh boy. That's something you might run across. Alright, so this is Ike. He's a 3-year-old thoroughbred. He's actually bred for polo from a farm next door, and they breed polo horses and work with a lot of them. He's a really good-minded little guy. He's been really easy to start. He was handled as a yearling when they weaned him, or 6 months old when they weaned him. They always get him with a halter on him and just get him used to being around people, and then kick them out, and when they're 2 or 3, we bring them in and get started. And this little guy, you know, 10 days with him, he's riding down in the creek back there, and just everything with him has been really easy and real pleasure to work with. He's about like the quarter horse. He's thoroughbred with the even-mindedness of a quarter horse, which I really like. But he is a little more sensitive. He's a little more alert, and he's a little more forward than a lot of quarter horses. So, but I do the same thing. I set the horse up the same way. He's a year older. He's a little bit different mentality, but he's good-natured and willing to work, and I do the same exact thing to set him up for a good ride. So we'll get started. We're gonna do the same thing. He's had the same training on the ground, the exercises, and about getting soft, getting around, and being responsive, moving his shoulders, and just all the basic stuff that I like to see in a horse. Once again, I'm looking for him to be round, soft, paying attention to me, and looking for what I'm asking him to do. As you can see, he's pretty soft, but I want him responsive as well. I want a horse that's soft but responsive. Okay, so something I want to go over real quick is what I do with these guys out in the pasture. Right now, you got to adjust your training to the environment you have and what your goal is with the horse. Now, both these guys, we're not looking to show them. We're looking for safe, quiet, dependable horses, and I ride them out in the pasture a lot. So I'm not going to be asking for them to give me a lot of collection. I'm gonna let them move out. Maybe their head's a little bit higher, but I want them to be able to think about their feet more, because it's a lot to ask a young horse out in the pasture where the ground's not even to give me really round flexion and a lot of collection right from the get-go. These guys are less than 40 days, both of them. I just want them to be relaxed, keep their shoulders up, and move freely, and stay under me, and stay between my hands and my feet. So that's where they're at. This guy, he's riding in a hackamore. He has a bit of an overbite, about that much, but so we're just riding him in a hackamore. But I do the same thing as I do with the 2-year-old quarter horse with the snaffle. I'm gonna ask for the same thing. I'm gonna look for the same thing, and set him up the same way. So, all right. He thought I wanted him to turn around right there, but I didn't. I just wanted some flexion. I like the fact that he's listening to me. He's looking for what I want. So when they do that, I'm just gonna hang with him right here until he stands still and gives me the vertical or the lateral flexion. Wherever that tends, there you go. Ask it again. There you go. Good. Now for vertical. I'm gonna ask for it, and I'm just gonna wait. There you go. As soon as he gives, I release. Now when he's going forward, I'm not gonna be asking for a lot of that while we're out there trotting and loping, because he's gotta think about the terrain, what he's doing with his feet, what I'm asking him to do. He's really young, he's not real developed yet. So I'm gonna try to make it as easy as I can for him with what I ask. So anyway, we're gonna go out and do some work out in the pasture.